So the first thing you want to do is when you draw a circle like here, and then when you draw another circle like this one circle represent one person. This one represents the second person, okay? So each person has their own sphere. That's their, as the little kids say today, their bubble, okay? This could mean the very structure of who you are. So your body, your energy space. And then this person has an energy space too, okay? Now, these two circles represent any energy spaces where two energy spaces connect to one. They share the same energy. Now, they may not share the same amount of energy. They may just only share one portion of their energy, may have the same precursor of someone else. Now, this area right here is the area in which these two individuals probably most likely flows naturally. Like there's no interference in this energy space, okay? Because they harmoniously connect in this space. Now, let's say number two has the same relationship, a same type of relationship, but different with someone else over here on the east of them. Now, this person in the middle now they essentially have two types of relationship. One where they share on the right side or the eastern part of who they are with someone else. And these two and three now share this space together. You know, that's where they naturally connect. Now, if you look at these three circles, now you might find where number one and number three, they might just not get along. And simply, they might not get along because the space that connects them together is this person. But they don't actually have to meet, nor do they have to share the same energy space in order to share the same friend. So that's why I always push back on people who say, well, I'm friends with this person, so I got to be friends with that person. That's just not, to me, realistic. It's not realistic because that's not how it works. You connect with people the way you naturally connect with them. And that's why I always push back on the idea that you can be the whole of someone. Like the idea that you being friends with someone and someone being friends with you, that you can fulfill their entirety. It's just not realistic. So this is a prime example where one person has two friends per se, where these they don't share the same energy cursor, but they do with this person. This doesn't mean this person is two-faced. It's just that the essence of a person, it shifts, it shapes, it's different. It's not 100%. And one person might vibe on one aspect of a person, another person might vibe on the other side of it. What I say is it's important that we learn to respect the boundaries, meaning this friend, number two, should not try to make 1 and 3 be friends, should not expect 1 and 3 to be friends. Number two should be able to look at number one and look at number 3 and say, hey, I connect with both of these independently of one another, and I can be a friend to both of them, or I could share my world, which is number 2 world represents its circle, its circumference, just like number 3 world represents its circumference. I find that most of the time people run into difficulties in their social groups just simply because they won't respect the boundaries. They won't respect the natural boundaries. So again, why I push back on forced integration. or, forced integration isn't good. Forced community isn't good. At least from my point of view, it's not good. It doesn't keep the peace. If you want true peace, then whoever is that one who has a higher mind function, in the sense that they can recognize the difference of the people that's in their social group and be able to respect those boundaries, that individual has more of a fruitful life, because they're not trying to make relationships work where they don't naturally fit. So the same is too, that doesn't mean that one can't establish a friend over here. So number one may have a friend over here, and the same be true, that number one friends, they meet here, but it's not the whole. It doesn't include number two. Now, when scriptures usually say that me and my Father are one, or when they say that, husband and wives become one, I think we oftentimes misinterpret what that means. So if we're looking at this same scenario, we all are on a journey to be reconciled back to the Creator. Where that we are one, where we can say the same thing that the Messiah said, that me and my Father are one. Me and my Creator are one. Not only that I know that I am created, but I know who created me and what my Creator purpose for my creation, because me and my Creator are one. So in the terms of Christ is me and my Father are one. So, and the same is true when two individuals become one. And it's honestly is a natural pulling of one essence of a being. So let's say this essence is wife, and I'm using it just for the sake of what scripture says, but this could be the case in the essence of all people. This doesn't just have to be in the essence of husband and wife. I'm only using that because that's how it's used in scriptures. So wife and husband are, and the way I'm using it is more in a sense of two entities becoming one, naturally becoming one, working and walking in a harmonious flow. It's usually when there's a natural pulling or pushing, or like a magnet, as these two forces or these two entities begin to move closer. So as the wife moves closer in its essence, meaning it's growing, it's shaping, it's transmuting, it's transforming to a better. So because I hope that every day we live out life, our experience make us become better people, better entities. So we naturally move to the essence of who we are most like as we begin to learn who we are. The more and more you begin to learn who you are, the more and more you start naturally resonating to those types of people, where it doesn't feel like you're in a space where there's always conflict going on. So as these two become more and more in tune and align with one another, these individuals get closer and closer and closer. So that space, which used to be a little small space, becomes bigger and bigger, to eventually those spaces become one. They are not the same because they were two entities, but they are so in tune. They are so connected that you can't really tell them different. They are so similar that you can't really tell them different other than it, unless you know them separately of themselves. But otherwise, they sound the same, they look the same, they begin to move the same, in a harmonious. And the best way I can think of is how the military moves when they're marching. They all are moving in sequence, in cadence, at the same rhythm. That's the same thing when we begin to naturally begin to draw to one another. And from my point of view, I believe that really takes a turn when people begin to become more and more of themselves. The more and more you unveil yourself to yourself, the more and more you start to recognize what it is that you like innately, what it is that you don't like innately, and you begin to vibe and move closer to people like that.